Is the Texas Chain Saw Massacre going to survive 2024? That's the question, right? Or at least that's the concern. Is the Texas Chain Saw Massacre in a position where it can bring players back, retain a player base, and survive? Or will it succumb to the fate that so many of these asymmetrical multiplayer horror games have, like that of last year, The Nightmare, Evil Dead the game, and of course, Friday the 13th the game, but that one was a little bit different because of the lawsuit that was in place. I have played the Texas Chain Saw Massacre almost every single day since it came out in August. I have watched the player base start to dwindle. I have watched queue times get longer. I have watched the player base get more and more frustrated with gun and sumo. It's been a very tough thing to be a part of, not only as a content creator, but as a member of the community as well. It's just been tough to be a part of, to watch something that you love, like many of you do, watch it start to fade away. So I presented a question on Twitter that was as simple as, hey, what do you think is the biggest issue with Texas Chain Saw Massacre, and what would you do to fix it? And it got an overwhelming response. I did not expect people to actually take the time out of their day and respond to that tweet, but they did. And from those responses, I kind of was able to break it down into a few categories of where the Texas Chain Saw Massacre is struggling and what they can do to fix it. Now, this is not going to address every issue of the Texas Chain Saw Massacre. There are a ton of issues in this game, whether it's bugs or server issues or whatever. But these issues I'm going to bring up in this video, they seem to be the ones that are creating the most issues, dwindling the player base, and ultimately putting the game in a really tough spot. First things first, this one got brought up a lot. The lack of content, and not just DLC content like new maps and characters, but the lack of unlockables. The game feels like it's in early access. Don't get me wrong, it's pretty polished. It's much more polished than F13 was when it launched, but it has such a lack of cosmetics and unlockables. The only unlockables in the game are like behind the scenes photos and images and things like that, which there's a very small percent of people playing this game that even give a shit. Let's be honest. Like, there are so many people playing the game that have never even seen the original movie. They just are a fan of the asim genre. And, you know, things like Dead by Daylight brought them into that genre. They don't actually have any knowledge on the movies, and a lot of them just don't care. I care. I like seeing those pictures. The thing is, I can go look those pictures up right now on the internet. I can go Google them and find them. And, you know, you hit level 99 in this game, and what do you get? You get to look at the trading cards that everyone that's hit level 99 has already seen ahead of the time. The only real unlockables in the game that are cosmetic based are the handful of outfits that are, at the end of the day, just recolors of the base outfit that you get just from playing a character a handful of times. That's it. There's nothing else. And if you are level 99, if you have grinded your way to that, you know it takes a long time, depending on what sides you play and what characters you play, etc. You're probably looking at close to 200 hours, maybe more, maybe less, again, depending on who you played. That's a long time. So to only get a handful of recolored skins is a shame. And you combine those lack of unlockables with the kind of pretty high DLC prices, especially on their first DLC release, that is Nicotero Leatherface, at $16. That is a hefty price to put on what is ultimately just a cosmetic. Yes, there's a kill that comes with it. Yeah, it's a new Saw sound, and I do like it. It's Greg Nicotero. I do enjoy that skin. But it's $16, and again, very small percent of people even give a shit about who Greg Nicotero is that are playing this game. I love Greg Nicotero, but even me, I struggle to justify that price. You know, it's expensive. And then, of course, on top of that, you have the characters that are also paid DLC at $10 each. And just to put that in perspective, Chucky released in Dead by Daylight at $5, a licensed, iconic character. $5. $10 in Texas Chain Saw Massacre for original characters that you've never heard of before. It's a stretch. It's a pretty hefty price tag for a game that already costs $40. And yes, you can get it free on Game Pass, but those prices, they're high. And especially when you look at characters like Danny, that is pay to win, right? His level 3 max out ability is extremely good. He's pay to win. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I don't even want to dwell on that, right? We've talked about the prices in the past, okay? Like, they're going to nerf Danny. They're going to nerf Nancy's perks. So that pay to win element, while it still may be there, it's going to come down some, and there'll be sales in the future. I'm done being upset about that. I don't think that's killing the game truly. I think family mains at this time are having a really tough time dealing with Danny. I think it's very annoying. but I don't think that's what's going to kill the game. But the lack of unlockables, it is rough, because once you hit 99, you have nothing to work for. There's nothing to earn, and even actually the grind to get to 99 feels pretty pointless too. And like I said, those trading cards to get at the end felt like a huge slap in the face once you just grinded 200 hours to get to level 99. So that is certainly a huge issue with the game. Now, the next biggest issue to me, and this is probably something you were screaming the second you clicked on the video, the lobby dodging. And not just the lobby dodging, but the whole lobby experience is... It's one of the worst I've ever seen in a multiplayer game. It's so bad. Now they're addressing this. They've tried to address this, and now they're going to remove the lobby timer, which is a solid band-aid to the problem, right? So the lobby's not going to end anymore, so you won't have that unable to find enough players to fill. You'll actually be able to sit there and wait. The problem is you're going to wait, and it's going to be for a while. You're still going to sit there for 3, 4, 5 minutes to fill a spot if a family member ever leaves. There has to be something done to actually address that as a whole, because the replayability, especially for new players, it's going down so much. And we'll talk about that more and more. New players and replayability, it is a very tough spot, and you have to be able to bring in new players and keep them. And one of the things holding them back is that lobby dodging experience. It's brutal. You sit there for 20 minutes and don't find a game. And like I said, removing that timer is a good band-aid. It's going to help some. It's going to at least feel like you're finding games faster and getting in games faster, and it won't be quite as frustrating. At the end of the day, the lobby needs an entire rehaul, and what they really need to address is the backfill, right? There's not enough family players to compensate for the victim players. So they're struggling to fill lobbies. And the backfill, I don't know if it's just a glitch or if there's really just that few people that want to play family, but the backfill is really bad. One of the things they could do to address this and help with it, at least alleviate some of the issues, would be to make it where the lobby doesn't disband. If you finish a game, you like the people you played with, you want to go against them again, you go back in and the lobby continues. It could be the same family and the same victims going against each other over and over again until they don't want to anymore, and then they leave. And then that spot could just open up and the backfill comes in and someone else takes the spot. That could really, really help alleviate a lot of the issues. But at the end of the day, the game in its current state, the lobby simulating experience, it's brutal. And it's everyone knows it's a problem. Everyone playing, I'm sure all the devs are talking about it. I think this ultimately comes from a lack of experience in a multiplayer setting for Sumo Nottingham. You know, they're not really known for things like this. They did some back work on Hogwarts Legacy, a lot of racing games, things like that. Forza, they do that type of stuff. When actually creating a lobby experience and coding that out, yeah, it's not good. It's like I said, one of the worst that I've ever experienced. And the crossplay side, great. I'm glad they got crossplay in there. But the inability to add people on there and become friends with them so you can never play with them again is brutal. You have to like exchange discords and just hope you stay in contact with that person to play with them again. Otherwise, that's it. And that's something that's really missing. How many people that played F13 found friends there that they are now playing TCM with because they stayed in contact and they stayed close? That's what these games are good for. It's supposed to be a good, tight-knit community. You're supposed to be able to make friends forever. I've seen people that got married that met on F13, right? You can't do that in TCM because if you meet somebody who's not in the same platform as you, you're not going to see him ever again unless you got lucky and exchange contact ahead of time. So just all around, the lobby experience is brutal. The crossplay, that system is brutal. The servers breaking, games crashing, it's just all of it, that the back-end server part of the game, all of that, the whole experience is just bad. It's just bad. And it's going to have to be addressed one way or another. And hopefully it doesn't take too long to get to the point where it's working properly. And like this comes back to what I said earlier, it feels like an early access game. It just wasn't ready to launch. And now next on my list, this is going to circle back to two things I said. One, the lack of experience in a multiplayer setting, that for Sumo Nottingham, and the lack of content. These two things circle back just to a lack of updates in general. The updates are too slow. That first month, it was nice. We're getting out hot fixes really quick, balance changes as quickly as possible. They were getting shit fixed as quickly as possible. Now it's really slowed down. So you combine it with huge balance things that need to happen, right? Let's take a look at Nancy and Danny. You know, both of them have some major issues that break balance, but they've been out for over a month and they haven't been touched. I understand it's the holiday season and it couldn't happen at a worse time. The way that content came out and they went on a holiday break couldn't have happened at a worse time, because now you're probably looking at mid-January before any of that gets addressed. That's a long time to go with your community really upset with the way that balance looks with both those characters. It's very frustrating, and that's one of the things kind of holding the game back. But there are some things that just need to be addressed that aren't being addressed or haven't been addressed because they just taken a long time to fix them. And that, again, it comes back to maybe a lack of experience with a game like this. I don't know, but clearly something has made the time between updates go up tremendously, and that is definitely holding it back, because you're starting to get to the point where even those like me, or you or veteran players, people that play every day, even those players are starting to fall off. So you're definitely not going to retain new players, and if you're losing your old players, that's when games like this die. Now, game development's hard, okay? Like, getting these patches out, it's hard. But there's got to be something they can do, whether it's bringing in another section of sumo. Sumo's got multiple branches. Can they bring another branch of sumo to alleviate some from Nottingham? Can they do something to just help one team focus on content, one team focus on bugs, and just try to get these updates out a little bit quicker? And on top of that, being able to spread out the DLC would be nice, because right now they're doing bulk releases. I think that's holding it back. Hey, get a cosmetic pack here, cosmetic pack there, map here, character, like spread it out. And then it feels like you're getting way more content than you really are compared to what we already are getting. It feels like you're getting more content, even though it's actually the same amount. Now, my last 2 points, these to me are probably the biggest ones. I mean, lobby dodging is a huge problem, but I think it's going to be fixed kind of quickly. The QA team, or the lack of testing, or whatever it is, the things that are slipping through the cracks and being released is just mind-boggling to me. Danny, maxed out Danny. To me, if you take one playing session with players that know what they're doing, competent, quote-unquote high-level players, really not even high-level, just people that know what they're doing, people that have played the game more than a couple days, they will play Danny one playing session, and know that is an absolutely busted maxed out ability. The instant inspection is just too much. You can instantly tamper. And yeah, of course, it's too powerful, especially for a paid character. It's just pay to win in a nutshell. Poison Claws. Level 3 Poison Claws. One playing session as Nancy, you would think a team would pick up on it. So, I don't know what their QA team looks like. I don't know what their testing looks like right now, but someone bring in, whether it's a public test build like Dead by Daylight does, or it's grabbing experienced players in the community and having them be on your QA, something. They're just not playing. These QA team and their playtesters are not playing the way the community is playing. So things like that, what feels like very obvious things, are slipping through the cracks. And that just can't happen in the future. You can't have every single DLC that comes out result in your community getting pissed off at you. And especially with Danny, and you leave them sitting there for over a month broken like that. Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that in the future, because it's just going to lead to, one, less DLC purchase. People are going to be like, all right, this is getting ridiculous. I'm not going to spend money on something that's broken. Or, players are just not going to play anymore. They're just not going to want to play anytime DLC comes out. And that's just not good. That's not good. And now, in the same vein, my last point, to me, the absolute biggest problem with the Texas Chain Saw Massacre that breaks replayability, it leads to lack of retention when it comes to players, it's the metagame. The metagame, it's the one thing you can grind for. And that's nice. Like, you want to level up your perks, you want to level up your abilities on each character, and that's something to grind for. The problem is, the metagame destroys the gameplay experience for the Texas Chain Saw Massacre. Go back, look at the tech tests. Look at when everybody had to use the same perks, everyone was on the same level, you couldn't level up your ability, etc. The game was unbelievably balanced. It felt right. That's how it felt like it should be. Now, right now, depending on who you ask, a lot of times if you ask a victim main right now, they'll say family's overpowered. If you ask a family main, they'll say victim's overpowered. ultimately it just comes down to what level of play you're at. If you're a new player, you probably think family's insanely overpowered. If you're an experienced player, I think you start leaning towards that victim is the powerful side. The thing is, to me, the only thing that breaks balance at all is the metagame. It's your meta perks, your bomb squads, your no cells, your extra drips, your venoms, your wireframes, your violence and scouts, and easily tuckered out and fired out. Like, it's that breaks it. Imagine a gameplay experience Texas Chain Saw Massacre where there are no leveled up abilities, where there are no perks beyond the base perks. Imagine Leatherface always stalling on a big hit, which to me, I don't think that's a big deal. Like, if everybody had no perks, if you didn't have your no cells, things like that, then Leatherface stalling on a big hit wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. It would be fine. You just had to play a little bit differently. Nobody really complained about it during the tech test. Everyone was having fun, and it was a pretty balanced experience. And, it's the metagame that, in my opinion, is one of the huge pieces of the puzzle that is scaring away new players. You go into this game as a new player. You got it on Game Pass for free. You saw it on there and you try it out. You go in there against even half-ass experienced players who have good perks. They're going to destroy you. You have no chance. And that's the thing, like, especially if your family going against victim and you have like a level 0 Leatherface, you would think you're the powerhouse. You got the chainsaw. You should be the one that has the upper hand. But it doesn't matter when they have perks leveled up already. You're going to lose. You're going to get destroyed. You're going to get bullied. You're going to get teabagged on, stabbed in the back over and over again, door slammed, etc., etc. And they're not going to play ever again. They're going to be like, wow, the balance of this game is broken. This is stupid. But at the end of the day, that's only because they had better perks. You're still going to lose to players that are better than you, but at least you had a chance. At least you're on a fair playing ground. My thing is, this is what I always say about perk systems and metagames, things like that. A skillful player without good perks should still beat a bad player with good perks. And I think in the current metagame, with all the actual meta perks, I don't think that's the case. Not most of the time anyway. I think a bad player can win with good perks over a good player with no perks. And that drives me nuts. I don't think perks should decide your skill. But the game's supposed to be casual. They've said that. It's supposed to be a casual gameplay experience. It's not supposed to be competitive. Okay, well, your metagame says otherwise. The mechanics of the game say otherwise. It's a player versus player game. It doesn't matter if it's supposed to be casual. It's going to be competitive. And players are going to go against each other, especially in a team game. Team family, team victims. Yeah, it's going to be competitive. And that's okay. That's all right. But don't feed the competition. Don't feed the toxicity with a broken metagame. And to me, my solution, get rid of it. Just add a hardcore mode where you can go in with no perks and no HUD or whatever that is. And I would be so happy. Or even a custom game option where I could remove perks in a custom game. That would be super fun, just like F13 had. It's easy to say from my perspective, right? Like, just get rid of the metagame and your problem's solved. But that, like I said, that's the only thing to grind for right now. It's the only thing to grind for. And it seems unrealistic to just throw something like that, a very in-depth system, to the side. I understand that. But a hardcore mode, I feel like, would be great. It'd be a warm welcome to the game, something to spice it up, and something to make it scarier again. During the tech test, I truly thought that playing Victim was the scariest experience I've ever had in an asymmetrical multiplayer game. And the reason it was scary was because there was a tremendous amount of risk. If you ran into a family member, you could die just like that in the blink of an eye. It's not forgiving. It was not forgiving during the tech test, Now, if you're running things like no cell, extra drip, whatever, full toughness builds, full whatever it is, you can not worry about it. It's like respawning in a game. If I know I'm going to respawn, I don't give a shit if I die. Well, that's kind of what these perks are doing for you, is that, well, he's going to hit me with a chainsaw and a huge hit, and I'm going to walk away, so I don't really give a shit. I'm not scared if they catch me. I'll just, I'll door slam them. I'll just take the hits. Whatever. And that's, that to me is just not as fun. I don't know. And on top of that, that is what makes it so hard for a new player to get involved and want to learn the game. That is what breaks the balance. it all comes down to what your build is, which that can be a great thing. It could be very rewarding. But I think the cons of the metagame outweigh the pros, in my opinion. Like I said, I've been thinking about this a lot, just especially with the holiday break and the lack of news surrounding the game. The future of it scares me. I'm worried that it can just fall on the back burner like these other ones have, and I don't want that to happen. Because honestly, and I mean this wholeheartedly, I think the Texas Chain Saw Massacre, from a game design standpoint and what its core gameplay is the best asymmetrical multiplayer horror experience to date. It just has so much baggage. It's got so much baggage that comes with it, with weird decisions to DLC prices, a lack of QA testing, broken metagame. There's just a lot kind of messing up that's hiding how incredible that core game design is. And I just want that game design to shine brightly again, like it did in the tech test, because that was a very special experience. And it's there. It's in the base game. It's just being hidden right now. So hopefully the future looks great. Hopefully we get some great content. The game certainly needs more maps. It certainly needs more characters and things to work for. But that's the kind of stuff that is going to bring back players. But you need that game design. You need the game design to shine to retain those players. That's the important part. But hey, that's my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. That's going to wrap up this video. If you enjoyed, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. And of course, as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.